Today, we're going to take a look at public relations in the nonprofit sector. The organization I chose to analyze for this project is the partnership between Dolly Parton's Imagination Library and the Governor's Books from Birth Foundation right here in Tennessee. Together, the two teams have partnered to create a public-private partnership working to build a foundation for reading and learning through books for the children of Tennessee. Before I jump into the interview aspect of the project, I thought it would be important to look at some of the background of the two organizations and how they came together to partnership to create such an important nonprofit organization in the state of Tennessee. In 1995, Dolly Parton, inspired by her father who never learned to read, launched an exciting new effort, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, to benefit the children of her home county in Sevierville, Tennessee. Dolly's vision was to foster a love of reading amongst the county's preschool children and their families by providing them with the gift of a specially selected book each month. By mailing high-quality, age-appropriate books directly to their homes, she wanted children to be excited about books and to feel the magic that reading can create. More so, she could ensure that every child, despite their family's income, had access to books. Dolly's Imagination Library became so popular that in the year 2000, she announced that she would make the program available for replication to any community that was willing to partner with her to support it locally. Enamored by this revolutionary idea, then Governor of Tennessee, Phil Brusden, created the Governor's Books from Birth Foundation to help support the efforts of Dolly Parton's Imagination Library on a state level in 2004. Over the next 2 years, the Governor's Books from Birth Foundation helped to expand Dolly Parton's Imagination Library program to include all 95 counties in the state of Tennessee. Together, the two organizations work to provide free books to any child who signs up. As Abby, one of the public relations professionals you'll meet momentarily, mentioned to me during our interview, one of the most difficult aspects of public relations in the nonprofit sector compared to others is the ample amount of organizations with the same goal as you, to help people. So, a key part of running a successful nonprofit public relations campaign is to discuss what makes your cause worthy. A good way to do this is to highlight some of the reasons your organization came to be and why it's so important. Some of the reasons Dolly and Governor Brusden chose childhood literacy are 43% of Tennessee's third graders are reading at a proficient level. A child's brain begins to grow to 80% of its full size by age 3. By age 3, children from lower income families may hear 30 million fewer words than from their more affluent peers. In middle income neighborhoods, the book to child ratio is much higher than in impoverished neighborhoods. Reading to a child has been shown to raise IQ levels. Books in a home could promote higher education. And lastly, reading is simply a vital part of a child's development. Let's take a look at some of the numbers the organizations and their partnership have created over the last decade. More than 27.3 million books have been delivered across the state of Tennessee. 63.5% of Tennessee's children have received a Tennessee Imagination Library book. 258,860 books were delivered last month alone. And 511,965 5-year-olds have graduated from the Imagination Library since its founding in 1995. But enough from me. Let's listen in on what the public relations professionals of the Governor's Books from Birth Foundation have to say about nonprofit organizations and public relations.
Hi, I'm Abby Robinson. I'm Director of Community Engagement for the Governor's Books from Birth Foundation. I am the person that just directly interacts with our communities and our county leadership. We have 95 different chapter affiliates across the country, across the state. And I work with the volunteers in those communities, making sure they have the resources they need to be successful through fundraising, grant writing, enrollment issues, things of that nature.
My name is Claire Jones, and I'm the Communications and Marketing Outreach Coordinator. And I kind of focus on doing communications and marketing for all of our 95 county programs. So that can go as small as like the town newspaper. I kind of help with doing the communications for our special events with some of our corporate partners, like being an event like Nissan or something like that, like check presentations and those kind of special events with partners and the governor's wife, the first lady's office, that kind of like those bigger events, communications type things. But me and Abby, we work a lot together with. She will.
I focus more on the fundraising element of some of these counties. That's my background and communicating in that capacity. And Claire, and then we both work in conjunction with counties and helping our volunteers. It's a small organization. It's kind of a pick up and go do what you can when you can. So I think the only consistent piece of our day is getting to come to Chick-fil-A every day.
Yeah.
Drink.
Yeah, that's a good question.
We, at least for me, in some capacity every day, I am speaking to somebody in another county about this program and assisting them in whatever's going on. So there's always a piece of communication, of working with these county volunteers and these connection points. I travel quite a bit for my job, maybe 5 days, 6 days. I guess it's not quite a bit, but 5 to 6 days a month in other communities in the state. Our real focus is to get out into the community and work with folks. And so I spend a lot of time doing that on the phone, answering emails, writing grants, making connections. I try to have lunches and go meet with people and talk to them about that. Our greatest asset is when people know about us, and our greatest weakness is when folks don't know about us. So trying to find those moments to communicate our mission and our goal, because our job is to give books to children for a living, and most folks are pretty enthusiastic and excited about that. So we just have to make sure that people know about it as much as we can.
And that's a really good point. And not only know about it, but like know correctly about it. Because a lot of people think like Dolly Parton pays for the books, but like she doesn't. But I guess a typical day, I feel like we have a lot of like ongoing projects, like working with counties and making sure if they're hosting an event, getting them in contact with local media, helping them write press releases and that kind of thing. But also, I feel like, random things will pop up throughout the day. Like if our president has this idea of having an event, getting in touch with the First Lady's office. And and there's a lot of like big idea things that are always like talked about, but there's still a lot of day to day, connecting people with the right people.
So I guess I'd never really considered myself a public relations professional until you asked that question, because so much of what we do is just day-to-day communicating with people. But that's in essence what public relations is we find a way to take what we do and communicate it to the masses in a digestible form. And that's what we do all day, every day, is to communicate that to people. So much of our job is to make sure that people feel included and bought in and a part of this process. That to say that we aren't public relations professionals, I think, is incorrect.
Yeah.
We are, in a weird way. We have a very untraditional job, and I think in a lot of ways what you think about as a traditional public relations professional, we kind of have split that and then combined it in a weird way between the two of us. She handling more the media, me more the fundraising, outreach piece to community leaders, but then also we deal a lot with these community volunteers and making sure that they're bought into the mission and that they're empowered to go out and do what they need to do to be successful.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree. I think we are, but I think it's also hard to be in this day of age because I feel like PR is changing daily, What was the second part of that question? Coming from political,
Oh, absolutely.
you didn't really have to worry about if someone's going to cover an event, everyone's going to cover the governor or the someone running for president is totally different. So it's a lot more of different type of messaging, a lot of like human interest type stuff. But yeah, and it's a totally different kind of environment when you're working with volunteers. One, because if they're a volunteer, sometimes they have a day job. I mean, this is their free time trying to give back. So you kind of have to like message with them and work it to where like we're always thankful for them, we're grateful for them and their service, and et cetera, et cetera. Another big thing about nonprofit communications, I just did a media relations for nonprofit day workshop at CNM, Center for Nonprofit Management, and we learned, and I think the education writer from the Tennessean was there, NPR for Nashville, and then Channel 5 maybe. Anyways, and we had the roundtable discussions with them, and it's big of the main kind of what I gained from it, because as I said, we were still learning, was that kind of media when it comes for nonprofits, they don't really, because we do a lot of, since the First Lady of Tennessee is kind of our spokesperson, media will come to those events, and it's just kind of like the First Lady's reading and to a student and stuff like that. But it was a big part of messaging it like a human interest story, like telling a story of one child who got Imagination Library books and how that changed their life. And I know the guy who did for Nashville, who worked for the Tennessean, told me that years past they did a story about this family, their house burned down, and the Imagination Library books, they were able to get them replaced or something like that. And it was a whole, so it's definitely not just talking about your program, but making it like humanized and telling stories and that kind of thing.
Right now, there's this nonprofit world, there's a surge of good causes to be a part of. I mean, there's thousands of nonprofits, even just in Nashville and in the state of Tennessee, tens of hundreds of thousands of nonprofits that you can participate in. And so our job on a day-to-day basis is why us? Why are we important? Why are we relevant? And being able to communicate that and get buy-in from all these different organizations is what public relations people do. Our professionals, public relations professionals do all day, is to get buy-in from folks in all different silos of society, from the business community to the nonprofit community to the state government to the local volunteers. And then we do a lot of work. Our job is so inconsistent, I guess, and so some of our volunteers are very rural. They may not have access to some of the big pieces that we do here in Nashville, but there's some folks that still don't use email and still don't communicate in that fashion. And so picking up the phone and having a phone conversation, we're working a lot with social media, but know your audience and be able to transition that and know there's a volunteer in White County that does not use email. So anytime I need to talk to her about something, I've got to give her a call. Or Perry County, that was the one I was trying to think about, is Perry County. You got to give her a call at her house. And
so it's a totally different kind of environment when you're working with volunteers. I feel like it's definitely within what we do is like knowing your audience. I mean, sometimes we're trying to get the Dixon County newspaper that has a population of like 800. I'm making all this up, but then you're trying to get Tennessean to cover something. So I feel like it's knowing your audience and just communicating and how messaging and but a big part of it I think is the changing of media and like how social media is so evident now and like blogs and how it's like a lot of it's like impersonal. So I think it's just like big scheme is like just communicating and
absolutely and be prepared to learn, because we do so much. We're learning about new things every day, and that's the key to public relations, is being able to think on your feet and move forward and try to and to do that. And you're right, it is changing every day. The public relations that we do right now is not what we're going to be doing in 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 years. It'll be different, and just being able to go with that.
And especially in the nonprofit world, because I've learned more with this job.
Absolutely. Tell them about our new Got Caught Reading.
Okay, well, since me and Abby and I are kind of, sounds bad, but we're the younger part of our office by like solid 30 years. And So we have an Imagination Library Week each September. Governor Haslam, it's normally the third week, proclaims it. It's just a week to raise awareness of Tennessee's Imagination Library, all of the county volunteers, our success, our growth. This year, we kind of wanted to kind of do something different, use the whole social media aspect. So we did like a social media challenge called #GotCaughtReading. And it was kind of like the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, but it was minus the ice. And you just kind of got caught reading a book with a child, but it had to be an Imagination Library book. And just during the week of Imagination was September 18th to the 24th. And the governor and first lady posted first to kick it off. And they tagged, I think, Miss Tennessee and I think some maybe like state departments or something like that, and just to kind of kick off the challenge. And then
we wanted it to be very much like the Ice Bucket Challenge with ALS, and in that we wanted folks to be engaged and to be able to tag people that they knew that it would go viral.
Yeah, the goal wasn't to like really enroll children in the library or raise money, which I mean, like, of course, we want those things to
come from it.
But it was a big, just a raise awareness campaign. And coming from, it sounds like our organization is so big because we have
statewide influence.
Yeah, but it's still, we gained, I'll have to pull up the numbers, but
I think we had like almost 800,000 social media impressions that week, just something
small.
small.
That's like triple what we normally get in a quarter, and that was just like in a week, so.
So I think the thing that I wish I had valued more is the power of the connection when you are in college. Never underestimate the value of internships. And I was blessed in that I pursued internships because I wanted to figure out what I was trying to do with a political science degree. What do you do with that, or a public relations degree? And those internships still, even though I've been out of school for 4 years, have given me this job that I have now. So never underestimate the value of connections, networking, and knowing people. It changes everything. And there are people that I've met along my different walks, both with Governor Haley and Governor Bush, that I've reached out to in Nashville who have benefited, who have not known about this organization and have now brought into the fold and communicated what we do and how we do it. They're partnering with us now, and it's incredible. So be kind to people when you meet them. Be friendly to people. Reach out to folks and go for things. Internships, networking, friends. Go to church. Know a person when you meet them. Or sorry, that sounds really weird, but go out to the community and engage with people in whatever capacity it is, either if it's volunteering or being in a church or interning or babysitting for somebody or doing whatever you want to do, whatever you're passionate about. Go do it and meet folks. That makes a big difference.
Things I would love to say, like, I found this job by
submitting a resume online or whatever.
Googling nonprofit. I didn't even know I wanted to be in the nonprofit field, but that's a really good point.
And the nonprofit, especially, it's such a small community. It's such a small world, and so much of what we do, we know people in other nonprofits because we're trying to ask them how they do what they do on a day-to-day basis. And so it's a small town. So you have to be aware of your presentation. What is it, Dean? Our coworker Dean always says presentation is 80%.
Yeah.
And so how you present what you do is almost as important as what you actually say. And so
and how you present yourself
as a human being is really important too.
Yeah.
Your social media follows you, and Time Hop certainly makes that helpful too in good ways and bad. You should always assume that anything you put on social media or out in the world could be seen by anybody.
Anytime I'm going to post a picture of me doing something like with my friends, I think about like if my grandmother saw it, what I would want her to think of. Because that's like probably like my grandparents. That's just what I think of. Like I don't want, like
I would never
that's
want
like up here,
and I think also don't assume that people don't look at you when you're interviewing for a job or an internship. I mean, because you are a carrier, or I am a carrier of this organization as much as Claire is a carrier of this organization. I mean, we've enrolled people in Ubers before, just enrolled children who have been the parents, or their parents were driving an Uber. But we carry this wherever we go. And so if you are presenting yourself on social media in a way that is less than what the organization would deem acceptable, that's something they're going to look at. And don't just assume because your account settings are private that necessarily protects you, because there is software. I know it. I've had it done to me. There's software that will go and look for it. And even if it's not software from a current employer, what if it's something more in the political world? But reporters would try to friend you all the time and dig up pictures, and they were always looking for a bad story. Most people are good, but some people are actually looking for the bad in others.
Yeah, I feel like with social media, we assume it's just young people, and everyone's doing this on the weekends. But I mean, Facebook is now turning into an older platform. I think, especially once you're in an internship or in a position, your coworkers, even if they add you and your friends on Facebook and stuff, I'm more weird. I think. Oh no, I just think you should always keep it clean, I guess. There's I always just think about my
anonymity. But you become friends with your coworkers, and you don't want to. I mean, I'm friends with both of our coworkers, Dean and Theresa. I would not want to present myself in a negative way.